Welcome or welcome back to the self-developmental channel featuring the Do You Speak English podcast. This is probably going to spin off and spawn its own channel soon, so watch for that. Here are the top 40 English slang terms of the day, some with history of origins. This is the first installment or episode of this series, beginning with the 1600s through the 1700s up to the War of Independence from the UK, also known as the Revolutionary War, inspiring the French Revolution as well. It highlights how language and expressions have evolved over time. It's crazy to see we still use some of these slang words 400 years later. So much for generational secret communications. By all means, do show the subscribe button some like and bash that bell for notes regarding new and exciting videos like this one. 1609 saw the first New World colony, Jamestown in Virginia on the James River, named after King James of England, following the reign of Queen Elizabeth I. He had the Christian Bible translated into the King James Version from Latin to English, known as the KJV. KJV slang will be featured in its own episode in the future. These 4 samplings give a bit of a different perspective to the pronouns one might identify with. Thou, an informal or familiar form of you used for close relationships or to denote intimacy. Thee, another form of you used as the object of a verb. Thy, an informal version of your, and ye, the plural form of you, often used in addressing groups, comparable perhaps to modern-day y'all. Now here's some slang from the North American colonial era, 1600s to 1700s. Bet you recognize some of these words. If not, take many seats. Of course, you'll have to lie down to do that, so yes, have a nap and try not to snore. Number 1. Coxcomb. A vain and conceited man, often overly concerned with his appearance. 2. Fop. A dandy, defined later in number 28, or a man who is excessively concerned with his clothes and appearance. There seems to be a lot of that going on still. 3. Wench. A term for a young woman, often with a connotation of being flirtatious or low-born. 4. Belly timber, food or provisions. 5. Cat's paw, someone used by another to carry out an unpleasant or dangerous task. 6. Betwixt, an old-fashioned term for between. 7. Sot, a habitual drunkard. 8. Rum, slang for strange or peculiar, as in a rum fellow. 9. Chirurgeon, an old term for a surgeon. 10. Pox, refers to syphilis, a formerly common STD, often used in expressions like "a pox on you" as a curse. This is a good time to pause for the cause and punch the like and subscribe buttons, please. Thank you. 11. Quote, said or spoken before, used in literary context like quoth the raven, nevermore. 12. Clap, slang for gonorrhea, a sexually transmitted infection. 13. Knave, a dishonest or unscrupulous man. 14. Doxy, a mistress or a promiscuous woman. 15. Prig, sounds like another slang term I've heard. A petty thief or pickpocket, a person who is annoyingly precise about small details. A conceited dandy, a fop. 16. Buck, a fashionable and dashing young man. 17. Lackey, a servile follower or someone who does menial tasks. 18. Cully, a simpleton or someone easily deceived. 19. Saucy, impudent or disrespectfully bold. 20. Hogwash, nonsense or worthless talk. Again, it's good time to like and subscribe. Thank you very much. 21. Humbug, deceptive or false talk or behavior, as in Merry Christmas, bah, humbug. 22. Rake, a man with immoral conduct, especially in sexual matters. 23. Toff, a wealthy or upper-class person. 24. Huzzah, an expression of joy or approval, like saying hooray or yay today. Made-up nonsensical words have proven to be fashionable in many generations that follow. 25. Rogue, archaically an outlaw. By modern adaptation, someone living apart from the herd. A nonconformist or loner, usually thought of as untrustworthy because they don't live by the standards of the others and therefore misunderstood. However, they usually see the untrustworthiness in the other direction, in the herd. Heard that. 26. Dapper, neat and stylish in appearance. Dapper is a Germanic word coming from a Middle Dutch word that meant strong, quick, or nimble. 27. Few and far between. The idiom originated in the mid-1600s and was originally used to describe physical objects, such as houses, that were spaced out over a large area. For example, in rural areas, the towns are few and far between, especially the small ones. Today, the expression is used more generally to mean something is scarce or infrequent, such as supporters of Proposition 64 are few and far between. The earliest example of few and far between in the Oxford English Dictionary is from a letter written by Sir Ralph Verney on July 13, 1668. Hedges are few and far between. The letter is cited in Margaret M. Verney's Memoirs of the Verney Family during the Civil War, published in 1899, number 28, Dandy. A man who is very concerned with his appearance and grooming and may dress in smart, dapper clothes. Dandies may also value refined language and leisurely hobbies and may emulate an aristocratic lifestyle. The word dandy was first used around 1780 as a noun and in 1792 as an adjective in a Scottish song. Some say the word may be short for jack-a-dandy, a 17th century British term for a conceited man. 29. Yankee. One guess is that Yankee started as the nickname Little Jan, used by Dutch settlers of Pennsylvania and New York in Little Amsterdam at the time. They pronounced the J as Jan, so Jan sounds like yarn. But the Brits used it to mock all American colonists. Later, of course, it became the name of a very famous New York baseball team. Number 30. Doodle or fopdoodle. A country hick with no knowledge of worldly or city things, not formally educated, not gentrified, not a gentleman, later shortened to dude. It was not a compliment. Perhaps the opposite of a dapper dandy. 31. Hick. Hick was originally a nickname, like Rick for Richard in the 14th century. Later, people who harvested, processed, or sold hickory products such as hickory flour were referred to as hicks. The term was generalized over time to include people who lived in rural areas and were not considered as sophisticated as their urban counterparts. The name hickory derives from a Native American word in an Algonquian language, perhaps the Powhatan Algonquian language. It is a shortening of pocochicori, pocohicora, or a similar word, which may be the name for the hickory tree's nut, or may be a milky drink made from such nuts. 32. Yankee Doodle Dandy, from the previous numbers 28, 29, and 30. The Yankee Doodle tune was already well known by the 1750s, but tradition says that in 1755 a British doctor named Richard Shuckburgh penned new words to mock his American allies. He portrayed the colonists as rude, crude, and cowardly. In the song, Shuckburgh referred to the American fighter as both a doodle, a country hick, and a dandy, a conceited jerk. 33. Scoundrel, a dishonest or unscrupulous person. 34, 35, and 36. Grog, also known as nog and posset, a term for alcoholic beverages, especially diluted rum or spirits. While culinary historians debate its exact lineage, most agree eggnog or egg grog originated from the early medieval Briton posset, a hot, milky, ale-like drink. By the 13th century, monks were known to drink a posset with eggs and figs. 37. Sawbones. Slang for a doctor or surgeon, derived from the practice of using saws in medical procedures. 38. Hobnob. To socialize or mix with people, particularly in a friendly or informal manner. 39. Lackadaisy. A term for laziness or idleness, as in feeling lackadaisical, from lackey, which means servant, footman, someone who does menial tasks or runs errands for another. We might refer to them today as a go-for or gopher. So by extension, a lackaday or lackey might not feel like going to school to rise above the station of lackey or gopher. 40. Bumpkin. A term for a country person or someone perceived as unsophisticated or rural, first used of the Dutch by the British. Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. Thanks. We'll look for you in the next sectional video, which will be slang terms and phrases from the Revolutionary War era, the 1770s through the 1780s. Bodacious Tata. See you then.